Now move on to the next presentation, for which I would like to invite Ms. Amandeep Randhawa, Founder Director Beyond Basics Learning Private Limited. Ms. Randhawa, over the last 24 years, has developed into an experienced coach and organizational behavior facilitator. She has worked extensively in the areas of change management, developing functional mindsets, conflict resolutions, negotiation skills, self-awareness, personal effectiveness, and being people managers. She has ventured in 2 startups in training and education and has trained more than 5,000 people across nations and domains to include key clients like Nike, Jubilant Group, Aditya Birla Group, Adidas, Danfoss, Rockwell Automation, Brandix Group Sri Lanka, Must Group Middle East, The Smart Cube, Moglix, Gap, HP, Hitachi, Sapient, Li and Fung, Jindal Steel, to name a few. She is a certified brain-based coach from Neuro Leadership Institute and holds a postgraduate diploma from RMIT in Australia in textile technology and international marketing. I invite Ms.
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I know I stand between you and the lunch right now, so we'll try and make it as efficient as possible. You know, in 1997, I was a fresh graduate from Melbourne. I had just finished my textile technology, and I was waiting for the next adventure to happen. And the adventure took me to Sri Lanka. The country was in the middle of a civil war, and I was asked, do you want to go and work there in textiles? And I said, okay, why not? Little did I know that the fates were putting me on a course of not only self-discovery, but also a mindset of sustainability. And one of the key things that we still carry forward after 25 years of starting in 1997 is that lives matter. So I would really like to first thank Prashant and the entire Wazir team to give me an opportunity to kind of spend 30 minutes with you. So sustainability is something we have lived, we have been breathing it since 1997. And I have reasons to believe that we were far ahead in the manufacturing, technology, innovation and design scene way back in 1997-98. I've had an opportunity of working with both the best in South Asia, MAS and Brandix, and another organization which was very progressive then, which ceases to exist now. It's called Putol's Textiles. So I've worked on the fabric vertical integration side. I've also worked on in garment production units, and eventually I specialized in leading high innovation projects. Taking concept to the market became my specialty. About 13 years ago, I became an accidental facilitator. I had no plans of leaving the industry. I really loved it. But destiny brought me back to India, and I realized India didn't have anything much for me in terms of the kind of technology that I've worked in. So just to give you an example, in 2003-2004, we were working on products with Nike's Advanced Innovation Team in Oregon, and we were taking a shoe technology and turning it into a wearable garment. And the product was a revolutionary support bra. So I specialize in lingerie and microfiber and performance wear, high performance wear. So our product required us to use multiple technologies that are used in shoes. So right from bonding to ultrasonic welding to molding. And we were expected to make the first sew-free support bra, which is a high functional product, way back in 2002-2003. We worked on a protocol, we worked on the first prototype for about 6 months. I had a very generous budget of $500,000 at my disposal and the best technologists to work with me and my team at my disposal. And while all that was happening, we three were working really closely. We had a factory that had to be converted into bonding technology, and that took another 6 months. One of the things that kept on screaming back at us, one of the things that really stared us back in our face was, number one, the product had to be sustainable, right? Yes. So we really had to make sure that the wastages were minimal. There was least amount of impact on the ecosystem environment, The glues that we were using had to be certified and passed by Nike. So we used the top of the end called Demis, which is an Italian brand. And of course, the third, which was last but not the least, was the sustainability of people. And that's what I want to talk about today. The role of people in sustainability. So I'm just going to, I don't have long presentations. I like to talk everyone through it. Okay. It's not moving. Yes. So I'll talk you through it. It's all right. So sustainability, we broadly divide it into three categories. We have environmental sustainability that is primarily driven by the brands and the buyers. And of course, now the consciousness is getting built internally in production plants as well. We have social sustainability, which that is where the people come. And last but not the least, we have the governance, which is at the policy level. So I said, okay, let's just talk about sustainability so far as people is concerned. So one of the base things that really stayed with me all this while was people centricity of all the organizations that I worked with. Everyone knew in a plant of 2,500 people, the way they were structured, everyone felt that people knew their names, people knew their backgrounds, and not just that, people knew what kind of families they came from. Yeah, it's working now. Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. So MAS started as, and this is a case study. So I'm going to use MAS Holdings as a case study for this conversation. MAS is a family-owned business. And it started as a very small unit in Sri Lanka. The founders and the directors used to sell their produce sometimes in the local market to make the ends meet, and that's how they started in late 80s. Till they brought on board a visionary called Diane Gomez. And that was the entire game changer. So Diane Gomez came on board and said, okay, I will be more than happy to push your profit lines, but as long as you give me budget to hire the right kind of people. So, and there was a whole speculation on, okay, why do you need people from Yale and Harvard and Cambridge and all these top Ivy League colleges to come and join garment production? And he said, I want the budget and I want 5 years and I'll show you why. So he very consciously built people centricity in their organization. So he very consciously started hiring people from Ivy League colleges, paying them the premium salaries in the country, and of course there was a lot of effort given on image and brand building, and very soon MAS in 5 years became the most popular place to work for. Not only that, they also stressed a lot on sports, so a lot of their cricketers are MAS employees. A lot of the boxers, national level boxers, are MAS employees, and that all came from vision of one Diane Gomez. And rest, today MAS is a case study for a lot of organizations. There are two reasons why we need to be people-centric. One is to retain the existing talent. And let me talk about this first. So I was with senior managers of Vistara, it's an aviation company, yesterday in Pune. And in one of the conversations I asked them, I said, okay, all that is fine, leadership skills, leadership mindsets, models, all that is fine. What about loyalty? And one of the things that they said was, well, that doesn't come by default to anyone's mind. People are transitioning through organizations, people are transitioning through the teams, and the only thing that they want out of that transition is, what is in it for me? How can I grow? No one's really thinking about an organization. And that's where I say, okay, why do we need to retain talent is the first thing that we need to talk about. The hiring process. Now let's talk money, right? Let's talk about return on investment. The hiring process, the process of getting new people on board, training them, kind of keeping them on the bench for about a month is a very, very expensive process. All of you would have your figures in the organization, I'm sure. The ramp-up period. Now, any time we got a new person in a team, in our factory, we knew we had to give, and irrespective of the level at what they were coming at, we knew that we had to give them at least 1 month or 6 weeks or 8 weeks to really come on board, to really get to a certain average level of efficiency. Forget about working at an optimal level. And this person could be a trained, experienced machinist. This person could be a trained, experienced, Gerber plotter. It could be any one of these people. He could be a trained, experienced person working in the cutting in production, or even in work study. And we realized that very early on that they take at least 6 to 8 weeks to really warm up and to really understand what is required of them and really get streamlined and aligned to the organization. Young workforce. Now we're not saying young as in terms of number of years. Young means the amount of time you've spent in an organization. Every time there's an upheaval, every time there are people getting churned, the people who are coming in and new are young to the organization. It takes them a little while to bite into the value systems, the culture, the vision of the organization. And for us, that's a huge cost as well. If I take some industry data, and if we used to work on SMBs, and those days our average SMBs in the factory we used to be at about 60, 65. Also, they were highly automized. And we realized that anytime there was a change in the workforce, it had 15 to 20% impact on our production efficiency. Any one person changing in production line meant that the line is going to take it slow for a few days. So hence, these are the reasons why we need to work. I've always believed that as organizations, sometimes we can be myopic and we may be focusing on a very wrong matrix. The focus is usually very cost-centric. The focus is on the cost of hiring new talent. Okay, it's seen as a cost center. Hiring people from really prestigious organizations, offering premium to attract talent is seen as expenditure. It is not seen as an investment. And that's why I say that we actually are focused on the wrong matrix so far as people centricity is concerned. Where else do we need to be focused? First is a shift in the mindset that hiring premium people, investing in people is an investment, is not an expenditure, and for once we need to stop our ROI needles, because no new human resource will be able to justify any kind of ROI for at least the first 2 months, right? And ROI is something which is more latent than obvious so far as human resource is concerned. So what are the other areas that we really need to pay attention to? And I think this is very critical for us. We knew in 1998-99, and that's the reason, one of the main reasons Brandex hired me to head a fabrics division. Ashraf, the founder of Brandex, called me. I was a very young 21-year-old, and he called me and he said, we've realized the total cost, out of the total cost of the garment, 60 to 65% of the cost is fabrics. So we are focusing on the wrong matrix. We want someone to come and streamline, pioneer fabrics and see how we can convert a cost center into a revenue center. Are you up for it? And I said, okay, all right, let's bring it on. Let's see what we can do. Right? So I've actually had a lot of creative freedom throughout my work experience. I worked with some of the best in the industry. And what we did was, within 6 months, through processes and through systems, not only did we reduce the fabric wastage, fabric rejection, we also got the fabric mills in China, Taiwan, Italy to pay for poor fabric. So a division which was always a cost center, for the first time we generated a revenue of $7,000, and we took a lot of pride in it. Right? So we kind of reversed it by really focusing on the fabrics. Second thing is cutting wastage and efficiency. We were trained to sit with the pattern makers to understand the why. We were trained to understand, okay, can we save half a centimeter somewhere? How can we plot it better? Right? And how do we reduce the wastage in cutting? So the control started from fabrics, went on to cutting. Sewing efficiencies. A lot of work study was done. Industrial engineering, reverse engineering came into place. The way we used to use Toyota production system then in some of our products. Whereas for others, it was a line manufacturing system. Right? So a lot of every now and then, every few days, every few weeks, our engineers would be on, and along with the work study and merchandisers, would be on the production floor studying the flow of the product to understand where we could reduce 30 seconds of production time of a product. Right? So that's where the cost saving is. On-time delivery and AQL. Very, very important. It was we were breathing, and it was in a part of our DNA. It was in our blood. On-time delivery. Right from the time the order would get booked to the time it was shipped. Everyone was breathing deliveries. It used to be considered a very big thing if any order had to be ever airlifted. You know, airlifting was an exception. It was the most exceptional thing that you would do in the rarest of the rare cases. This is the mindset that we're talking about. And we're talking about, you know, products that had an FOB of an average of $5 US, FOB of $5 to $15. So high value, high volume product. Now imagine you have a product which has an FOB starting from maybe $1 going up to $6. And if you're going to spend a lot of that margin onto airlifting because you're late on delivery, that's where your cost is. Your cost is not on hiring the right people. And all I can do right now is maybe put a little seeds here, and we can discuss it in detail later on. And of course, vendor strategy. You know, one of the biggest takeaways for me is vendors are as important as clients. Our vendors, our trim suppliers, our fabric suppliers, our machine suppliers were treated at par, although the treatment was exactly the same that we would give to our buyers. Because, you know, we always believed in hum hi hum hain to kya hum hain, tum hi tum ho to kya tum ho, right? That's so important. And that's something I find a little amiss in our country still. Yeah, we need to move it. So yeah, so the crux of this detail that I just shared with you is, let's move our focus to identifying critical points in our production units where the actual cost saving lies. Let's stop making hiring people at premium cost a cost-centric discussion. You know? Okay, can we move? We're getting there. Okay. All three, yeah, that's fine. So 3 things. You know, it's basic human behavior. Anytime you're at workplace or in any kind of a relationship, you're always looking for a 5-finger question. And that 5-finger question is, what is in it for me? Okay, I'm going to do this, but what is in it for me? We took care of that, what is in it for me, for people. Right? So for instance, you know, in one of our plants we had 2,500 people, and the factory GM, he came up one day and he said, how about giving scholarships to all the kids who are going to appear for their A-levels next year? So the CEO said, 2,500 people, can we justify the cost? And we said, okay, let's do a survey. Right? We did a survey and we realized out of 2,500 employees, there were only 87 kids who were applying for A-levels. And we launched that scheme immediately. And it was fully expenses paid, scholarship, your school fees paid, your uniform, everything is paid for A-levels. That became an anchor of motivation for the generations to come. And suddenly, you know, an employee whose child was in grade 7 or grade 6 became aspirational. And he said, not only are they giving scholarship, they're also saying, if you have an aptitude of getting admission into the best school in the city, we will pay for it. So it was not seen as a cost at all, and the cost got absorbed through, savings in production, through efficiencies and everything else. But it was a great driver for people. Not just that, they also said, okay, you know what, we're going to take care of you and your families matter. If an employee knows that there is an extended care to my own family, and of course, the medical care and everything else was very basic there, I can now really focus on my work peacefully. I really don't have to worry about, what if I can't afford my child's education. And we extended that scholarship to college, and we extended that scholarship to kids studying out of Sri Lanka as well. And that worked as a great motivation. See the impact, it has a ripple impact. I may not have a kid today, I may not even have a kid today, but I see someone's kid going to UK for his graduation, and I'm like, God, I'm going to stay here. I'm going to stay here, I'm going to make sure that, I raise my kid well, and my kid gets an opportunity through the organization that I'm working in. So hence comes the loyalty, what we were talking about. Longevity of people in the organization. So individual growth plans, very important. What is in it for me? Okay, if I'm going to be working here for 2 years, 5 years, irrespective of the level that I'm working in, what does my growth look like? If I want to do a certification, can I do this? If I want to go ahead and maybe do my post-grad MBA somewhere, will the organization support me? Will the organization take me back after 2 years? So personal growth plans came in mind. We also in an era of instant gratification. And I will mention it later on in my slide as well. So instant gratification means, okay, I need a sense of achievement now. Right? And for that, what we did was, we spread our rewards, the cash reward schemes, onto shorter amounts covering more number of people across the year. So more people had chances of earning cash rewards. The expense to the organization was the same. So question to all of you. It's a very pertinent question. Second part of people centricity is, what kind of talent are we attracting? Right? So can anyone say that we're attracting the best talent in the country? Why not? Let's hear it. Why not? Why are we not attracting the right talent? Anyone? Okay. Before we get to why are we not attracting, we have to really understand what are this high potential, high talent people, where are they going? And why are they going? And why are we not attracting these people? You remember going back to the case study of Dan Gomez in Sri Lanka, where he said, okay, I'm going to hire Harvard graduates, Cambridge graduates, and I'm going to give them a platform in my factory. And that also required that they be paid maybe 4 or 5 times more. And they went ahead and did that. The only intention behind that was, in the talent pool of the country, I want the best. Right? So why are we not attracting talent? Here are the reasons. Our industry profile is rather poor still. We are still looked upon as a cut and sew industry. Young kids still look at us and say, okay, it must be like a sweatshop. There's no air conditioning. Man, I stand on the production floor the whole day and it's so sweaty. Right? So the work conditions. Are we giving competitive pay scales? That's something we need to reconsider. And inadequate branding. Branding matters. Right? Because visibility matters to kids these days. Who are you working with matters. What kind of work conditions matter? I thought I'd talk about these 3 things to you. The aura of the organization, the image of the organization, and the pride that it leads to. So the aura is the reputation, the credibility. What is that organization known as? Okay, is this an organization where you're going to go and say, okay, you know what? Welcome to our organization, we're going to take care of you, and you can expect the best in the industry in our organization. Is that the kind of organization it is? Is this a vision-driven organization? Does this organization share its vision? So I believe a lot in shared vision. Firstly, yes, we need to have a vision. right? What is the vision? Okay, let's also define organizational values. And once that is defined, can we share it? Are we brave enough? Are we courageous enough to share it with the entire organization and tell them, let's run with it? Because I'll tell you how it works. You know, Shiva was having a conversation with me during the break, and he said, and I was telling him, I said in 2001 in MAS, we had a vision of 1 billion by 2010. So Shiva said, you know, I somehow don't like these monetary driven, visions. It feels very cut and dry, right? And I told him, I said, but it was unbelievable the kind of drive it would give people. You know, merchandisers in my team would sit for 3-4 hours to save 50 cents on the bus ticket, to increase our margin by 10 cents, 5 cents. And they'll say, Aman, you just give me time. I'm just going to go to the sample room. I'm going to sit with the machinist and I'm going to see how I can reduce the SMV. But also the merchandisers were of that caliber, that they could do that, right? And similarly, I'm going to sit with the pattern maker and I'm going to sit on the Gerber and let me see if we can reduce the yield. So see the drive? Because everyone is breathing $1 billion by 2010. It became like a mission statement. And it was also a vision of shared growth. We grow, all of us grow. So that's the aura. Image. Anytime anyone from our organization would walk into a meeting with the buyers or the suppliers, they would know which organization we represented. The branding was so strong. The way we dressed, the way we were groomed, the way we would say good morning, the way we would talk to people. There was a proper grooming happening from a machinist level till the CEO level. And everyone spoke the same language. People could look at us and say, you must be from MAS. Right? So that was where the image building came. And the immense pride that all of us used to take. You know, you would walk 2 inches taller into the meetings. You would walk confidently into the meetings knowing that you may lose this sales pitch and knowing that you may not get the order, but you would still walk 2 inches taller. And also the result of the aura image and the pride we took, we felt that the buyers were more open to discussion with us in case anything went wrong. Right? There was more room for negotiation. We could never hit a wall. You had to do something seriously very wrong to hit a wall with the buyers. So that all had to do with aura, image, and pride. So our question to us is, where are we on all these 3 currently today as an organization? And what are we going to do to... I thought let's just address, because one of the topic was, you know, how do we keep the future generation motivated and how do we make it sustainable? So I thought I'll just map out what does the youth want these days when they set out to look for work. How I look matters. It does. The way the information is being consumed, it's being consumed very differently. So how you appear has become really important. Second very important is, how do I feel? Do I get the right vibe? Do I feel good? Does it make me feel good to be a part of this team? If not, you know what? I'm going to quit and I'm just going to go to another organization. I'm just talking the youth's language. Right? Engagement and delight, the adrenaline. They want, like, as I said, instant gratification. This is too boring. I'm just doing costing for the last 2 months. Can I do something else? Can I go on the production floor and learn how to sew a product? So, adrenaline. Second is technology and innovation. Yes, this is very appealing. Right? Third and ideas, creative freedom. You don't have to be in the design team to be creative. Everything that you do, there could be a different way or a creative way of doing it. So are we giving creative freedom to our youth? Or are we telling them that this is the system, you know, when my father launched this factory we used, I've tweaked it a bit and I expect you to follow it till the T and here you go. This has worked for us for 10, 12 years, 20 years and I'm very confident that it's going to work. You don't need to be creative. That person is going to lose his motivation like this. Because maybe there is a different way. I'm not saying better. Maybe there's a different way of doing the same process, same reports, making the same reports, making it more efficient. Not only that, just kind of giving them creative outlet. Instant gratification I've spoken about. Last is so important. It is very important for people nowadays to see what impact am I creating on society, on sustainability. Am I a part of a brand where I have a platform to contribute positively for sustainability, and can I make an impact on the society? You know, kids these days are very conscious of it. So are we giving a platform like this to the youth? Is what we need to. How am I on time? So do I have my 30 minutes or? Okay. So I don't want to shoot my 30 minutes, I'm sorry. I'll just, and I thought it was pertinent that I shared this. Key strategies were product, lives, and plant. So your production unit, the people who worked on it, and of course, the product. They have a 2045 vision already. It's a short video, I'm going to share it with you. Right? MAS already has published its 2045 vision. And the theme of that vision is sustainability. Right? And these are the three factors, and on top is lives matter. I'm not going to treat the humans as machines. Second is, let's grow together. Shared vision, shared growth. Third is, let's be the best together. Alright? So, let's watch a video, and that should be the end of my presentation. It's just short. Is this downloaded? So this will just maybe take 30 minutes, 30 seconds. So as I work in the people development space now, I have a couple of startups. I have 2 startups on training and development, and I have one which I've kept for miscellaneous. All creative projects go into it. You name it, it's on the third startup that I have. But one grain, that's fine, we can, it's okay. We can share it on the deck with everyone. It's okay. It's okay. It's something which is on YouTube, and you can. I think it's just very interesting to watch it. It says MAS 2045 vision. You know, it also gives us an insight into where our immediate neighbor is heading. They also set up factories. You know, their machinists didn't know how to speak a single word of English, and really island people, really laid back. They have achieved one milestone and they're heading for the next. But the key point there is they're taking their people along. Second generations are now starting to work in the factories of these plants.
If you own a small business, here's a gift for you. With WhatsApp, you can now send personalized.
Looks like it's gonna work.
When our founders began MAS 35 years ago, they knew they were stepping into an industry that needed to change. The fundamental question they wanted to address was, how could we be a central part of that change?
The fashion industry in general, if you look at the apparel and textile industry, has been considered as one of the largest polluters of the world. MS Holdings is regarded as one of the leading manufacturers of apparel and textile in South Asia, and we work with some of the large and well-known iconic brands of the world. As a company, we realized quite early in our journey that as an organization, we cannot really succeed if the society around us continues to fail. And that's the realization that we arrived quite early in our journey. We believe that we are able to present ourselves as an organization that truly lives its purpose, lives by its values, and are able to really and truly make a difference to all parts of society.
The industry, traditionally, we have a very linear system where we take materials out of the earth, make our raw material, we stitch, we sell to a consumer who will use it and throw it. We really need to change this now, and that's what we are working tirelessly on, how we can create a life for the post-consumer product, working very closely with our brand partners. There's a lot of work we've done, and we now have brought it together through MA's Plan for Change, where we have taken an ambitious challenge of converting 50% of our revenue to sustainable product by 2025. Our focus and our ultimate goal is to make sure through innovation we are able to make products that last longer, stay in use for longer, also making products that use less resources, and most importantly that the wearer still loves.
பிள்ளைய வந்து எனக்கு டே கேரில் நான் விடுறேன். அப்போ அவங்க வந்து அங்கே பாதுகாப்பாக இருக்கிறாங்க. எனக்கு முதலாவது பவா வந்து 2 வயசில் அடுத்த பவா. அப்போ அந்த டைமில் கூட எனக்கு நான் வேலைக்கு வராமல் லீவில் இருக்க கூட எனக்கு டே கேரில் தான் நான் பாதுகாப்பாக விடக்கூடிய மாதிரி தான். இப்போ எனக்கு வந்து வேலைக்கு வந்து கஷ்டம் இல்லை. பவா 1 வந்து நான் டே கேரில் விட்டுட்டு தான் இங்கே வர்றது. அப்போ எங்களோட ஃபேமிலியில் வந்து எங்களுக்கு பாதுகாப்பு இருக்குது. மற்றது எங்களுக்கு போக்குவரத்து பிரச்சனை இல்லை, டிரான்ஸ்போர்ட் தர்றது. அதனால் எனக்கு நாங்கள் பாதுகாப்பாக வேலை செய்கிறோம்ன்றது அவங்களுக்கு தெரியும். மற்ற நிறுவனம் வந்து எம்ஏஎஸ்ன்றது நல்ல நிறுவனம்.
Women Go Beyond is a dedicated program to achieve MAS's gender equality agenda. The work requires us to look at different gaps and different challenges. We have flexible work arrangements for men and women both, so that one of the biggest challenges that leads to the gender gap in leadership and management, which is the fact that women to date carry majority of the childcare and home care responsibility, can be addressed if we have men and women participating more in their families and in their homes. For businesses, the different perspectives are vital for stronger problem solving, more innovation, better governance. It seems obvious that people from different backgrounds, with different skill sets, with different life experiences would bring different perspectives to a problem. And now the data and the research shows very clearly that there is a business case for having more diverse people in our teams.
Sri Lanka is a highly biodiverse, rich country. And one of the things that we realized that we had been doing is when we cleared areas of land for building our plants and putting car parks and all that, we were displacing a lot of the biodiversity that was in that area. So we made a commitment that for every acre of land that we have destroyed in effect, that we were going to rejuvenate or replant 100 times of what we had displaced. We realized that there was an opportunity and take seeds into locations that were difficult to access and drop them into rain-sodden soil where the success rate of them germinating was pretty high. So we did it as an experiment first in the Anuradhapura area, which is in central Sri Lanka. And then we have now subsequently done it in several locations with a fairly high level of success.
The Plan for Change is our commitment to inspire sustainable change within our business, within our communities, but also amongst our customers and our suppliers as well. The Plan for Change is comprised of 3 focus areas: lives change for good, our planet change for good, and also products change for good. None of this can happen in unison or in isolation. It's really important for different players to really come together, whether you're competitors, whether it's a supply chain, customers, regulators, industry bodies, technology providers. Everybody has to come together in order to truly make a difference.
As citizens of this country and as residents of the only planet we have, I think it becomes extremely important that each one of us not only educates ourselves on the impact we personally make on the planet, but try and make a commitment that whatever we do, we try to leave the world net positive for us being there. So as individuals and organizations, it's really important that that net positive attitude, if we can just live that, the world will be a better place.
Thank you for your time. And thank you for your attention. And see, the pride lives on. I left them 13 years ago. And I still talk to them about them with so much of pride. So thank you. Enjoy your afternoon. Enjoy your lunch. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Amandeep, for such an interesting presentation. People's sustainability is often the area which has been underworked and not explored much. Thank you for bringing it to focus and giving useful ways to influence young minds and mold them into leaders of tomorrow. I would now like to invite Mr. Vivek Gupta on stage to present the memento to Ms. Randhawa for such a lovely presentation and as a token of our appreciation.